Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. All praises to Allah, the Creator of the universes and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers. And may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His prophets, the last of His messengers and His holy progeny. And in particular, may His incessant blessings ever continue to flow on that third successor to the Holy Prophet, on Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Yesterday we discussed that sermon delivered by Imam Hussein alayhi salam before his departure from Makkah. But as you would, and there is another sermon, as I've already pointed out, on Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahyan al Munkar, in which he addressed the ulama of the time. Because it is these ulama who are responsible in encouraging Yazid. They asked for a fatwa from, Yazid asked for a fatwa from them, and the Chief Justice, Qadi Shurey, issued a fatwa that it was valid and proper to murder, ma'adallahi ta'ala, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, if he does not give bay'ah to Yazid. Imam Hussein alayhi salam took the step of summoning in Mina the ulama, and they were in large numbers, and delivered a castigating khutbah on the duties of an alim, his responsibilities, and how he is answerable to Allah, glorified and exalted. Of course, that khutbah was never in our program to discuss. The one we discussed yesterday was the more important one, because that's the one on which he laid greater emphasis, and I thank Allah that we managed to discuss it at least superficially. At least I was able to present the sermon to you within the given 40 minutes. But apart from those sermons that were of standing, there were sermons that he delivered all the time, because people would gather and would question him. Yabna Rasulullah, this is a time when we are here for Hajj. You are changing your ihram from Hajj to Umrah and going away, and he would deliver a sermon. And I want to give you just one specimen of that sermon, because we can't deal with them all naturally, but just one sermon in which people gather like that, and a large gathering, he delivers a sermon, because he couldn't have answered each individual personally. So he addressed them in a group, and in this sermon he turns around and says that he answers the question. He says, I have decided to change my Hajj into Umrah, change my ihram and leave, because I have received information that if I do not leave promptly, I will be apprehended and surrendered to Yazid. He said, these people are bent on killing me, and if I do not make my way out, they will kill me in a way in which nobody will even know that I have been killed. Death is designated by Allah, glorified and exalted. Look at the beautiful thing he says. He says, death is designated by Allah, and He decides when a person will die. To a human being, all the sons of Adam alayhi salam, death is like a necklace round a lady's neck. Just as a lady will not remove the necklace from her neck and will always wear a necklace, likewise man always wears the possibility of death round his neck. But with me, my death has been destined, as everybody's death is destined. My place of burial is destined by Allah. Indeed, according to a hadith, it is a piece of heaven in Kerbala where the Imam alayhi salam is buried. But I will not go down that road, because we must continue with the journey. And then he says, not only is my place of burial designated, the place where I will die is also already designated. This is a trial from Allah, glorified and exalted. And then says words which are axiomatic in Arabic today. You will even find them on slogans of Ahlul Bayt TV. The words are, Ridallah, Ridana Ahlul Bayt. We Ahlul Bayt are pleased with all that Allah is pleased with. It is the pleasure of Allah that they were after. And then proceeds to say that this is a test from Allah, glorified and exalted. a test that I have to bear with patience. I have come here to perform Hajj, that I have to interrupt it is a test from Allah. But I make sabr, I bear all this with patience, because it's patience that is the test. That is what Allah requires of us. But Allah, and He makes another teaching. As I said, these teachings of Imam Hussein alayhi salam will keep flowing. As they flowed last night, I hope, and as they will continue to flow tonight and tomorrow night and on Saturday night, inshaAllah wa ta'ala. He says, and the reward of Allah is highest to those who bear the afflictions of this world with patience. It's a sabr that brings the best of thawab. And then he says, so I am leaving for that reason, but I know that I am leaving to be martyred. So those who want to come with me, knowing that it is a journey in which I will be martyred, a journey which will end in martyrdom and in pleasure of Allah and in reward and jaza from Allah, they are welcome to join me. But join me with that consideration in mind. Look at the honesty of the man. He candidly tells everybody that death is the outcome of that trip. So if they want to join him, they join him in the recognition and in the knowledge that they are going to die for the pleasure of Allah, glorified and exalted, and paradise is their reward. But the point I had wished to emphasize at the end of the sermon is the point I made at the beginning of our sitting, that the policy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was non-confrontational. He refused to make bay'ah, and I take you back to our first majlis. He refused to make bay'ah and left Medina. He did not continue to stay in Medina and become confrontational with the governor of Medina. And the other steps that we have already considered, which I do not wish to repeat for you. And I'm sure you have them in mind, because not even a week has passed since we have discussed all those. But here is another example. When he finds that there are people who have come to murder him in the course of Tawaf, he decides to leave Makkah. Rather leave Makkah than have a confrontation. He could have said, I am declaring this to the Muslims and I want 1,000 Muslims to be guarding me. Anybody trying to attack me will be killed. Or he created no confrontation. He decided quietly, not quietly, he publicly did announce, but he decided to depart from the place where there could be confrontation. He meets Ibn Abbas, his cousin, and Ibn Abbas stops him and says, Ya Aba Abdullah, I've come specially to meet you because I have learned that you have changed your ihram of Hajj into the niyyah for Umrah, so that you depart from Makkah. What is happening? And he says, oh Ibn Abbas, look at these people. Look at the extent and the limit to which they will go. Now one can see the feeling of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Despite being so patient a man, even he felt that the extent to which Yazid was going was enormous, was beyond patience of a human being. How can we be blamed for mourning Imam Hussein alayhi salam and grieving over him for years, year in, year out, indeed day in, day out, when we take into account that extent of the afflictions on him? He says, look at the extent to which they go. They create conditions for a grandson of the Holy Prophet such that he becomes obliged to leave the country of his birth, the city of his birth. He becomes obliged to depart from his own house. He becomes obliged even to leave the tomb, the graveside of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. And I made this point on Friday night, that was perhaps the most severe thing for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. 11 times he said Khuda Hafiz, and 11 times he went back to that grave, until the Holy Prophet saw him in a dream and inspired him to leave the place. So he complains about that to Ibn Abbas, saying, this is what they have done. They have obliged me to leave Medina, to leave my house, to leave the graveside of the Holy Prophet, and now wherever I go, they create conditions in which I cannot peacefully stay anywhere at all. I have no refuge, I have no sanctuary anywhere. Now they've brought people here to kill me, so that I'm obliged to leave once again. But the question I ask, he says, and this is typical of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because he asked this question in Kerbala also. But he starts asking that question in Makkah before he even leaves Makkah. And he does it publicly, because this conversation with Ibn Abbas was public. It was not that they were two standing privately. And I will revert to that in a second, but let me first make the point. He says, but they are doing this at a time when I have not been guilty of any wrong at all. I have not been guilty of any shirk. I have not associated Allah, glorified and exalted, with any other entity, nor have I committed any other sin for which I would be liable to Allah, glorified and exalted. So he announced his total innocence. This was a challenge, and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam started this challenge, as I say, in the words of from the lips of Imam Hussein alayhi salam himself in Makkah. But you can see that he was not an ordinary personality. In history, a man is known by how his compatriots of the time, how his contemporaries of the time see him. The fact that the journalists moved around with him, and the moment he made a statement, they were taken down. And we thank them for it. That today these statements of Imam Hussein alayhi salam are extant, and I'm able 14 centuries later to deliver them to you. This is through the gesture of these journalists, who the moment they saw Imam Hussein alayhi salam was speaking, they went and recorded. And all these speeches and statements of Imam Hussein alayhi salam are with us. As a result, there is the answer of Ibn Abbas is also recorded. Ibn Abbas says, Mawla, Allah will protect you, Allah will guard you. But what is worrying me is that you should not go to Kufa. But even if you decide, if there is no choice, you've got to go to Kufa, then don't take women and children with you. Because these people are our, because Ibn Abbas, as you know, is the son of Abbas, the uncle of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. So he was a member of the Ahlul Bayt, member of the household of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. He says, these people are our die-hard enemies. They might harm you, but the harm they will do to these ladies, they will take them prisoners, they will inflict pain on them, they will ill-treat them, as exactly what happened. The point, of course, is that if Ibn Abbas could think of this, wouldn't Hussein alayhi salam have thought of this already? Between the two, Imam Hussein alayhi salam was the higher intellectual. I have designed to call him a genius. His foresight and vision was so far-reaching that there was no way he could not have seen it. But he took them for a good reason. I spent Saturday night discussing the reasons, and I will not go back to them. All he said to Ibn Abbas, because what can he say? What can he say when there are all journalists around and his every statement is being taken down and would be recorded in history? He says, I've seen my grandfather in a dream. And Ibn Abbas, my grandfather's commands are what I'm following. Well, Ibn Abbas could say nothing to that. And we have already touched on Friday on that dream in which he saw the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny, and the advice the Holy Prophet gave him. But let us move on. Let us reach, because we could stay in Makkah with all his speeches throughout the night, and the Ashara could end discussing only Makkah. Let us move on. He moves from Mina to Makkah, performs his tawaf and sa'i before these murderers could come in. He removes his tawaf, his ihram, and moves out of Makkah. And the first station he makes outside Makkah, of course, Makkah is considered as one of the stations he made, but when I'm talking of the stations from this point onwards, I'm talking of the stations outside Makkah. The first station he makes is at Tan'im. Now why that? Tan'im is a place which most of you, alhamdulillah, know. It is miqat. It is the miqat for people in Jeddah. But you and I also use Tan'im. If, for example, we are in Makkah, having Tan'im is for people of Makkah. When people of Makkah have to wear ihram, their miqat is the mosque at Tan'im. Taxi drivers call it Masjidul Aisha, but its correct name, its original name is Tan'im. However, when we are in Makkah and have already performed our Hajj, or have just been to Umrah and have already performed our Umrah, and we want to perform another Umrah, for the benefit of the soul of our parents or for the soul of any particular person, and so to do another Umrah, we have to wear the ihram again. We do not go to Ja'fa. Of course, Masjid al-Shajara would be far out in Madina. We don't go to Ja'fa. We are then allowed to go to Tan'im. We go to Tan'im and wear. That is the spot that I am talking about. Not many miles, not even 50 miles from Makkah. The Imam alayhi salam stops at Tan'im. When he stops at Tan'im, he stops at Tan'im primarily because he saw a train of camels. When he saw a train of camels, he ordered Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and I said, that's a name we will keep repeating every night. He was the commander-in-chief. He was the right-hand man of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He asks for the caravan to be stopped. It is stopped, and the Imam himself, not even through Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, Imam himself goes to the leader of the caravan and says, I want to hire your camels. My journey is to Kufa. Those who want to join me can join me, but I have people with me who are not on camels. They are on their feet, and it's hard for them. So I want to hire camels. Now these are people on whom the Imam alayhi salam was doing a great favor. The Imam alayhi salam knew that they were not going to last with him. And we shall discuss that either tomorrow night or on Saturday night. At what stage these people left the Imam alayhi salam, maybe Saturday night. At what stage they left the Imam alayhi salam. But yet, because in the first instance they wanted to join the Imam alayhi salam, and the Imam being the spiritual leader, the Imam of the time, did not want to stop them. Yet, they should not be inconvenienced on foot, so he hired camels at his expense. He reached an agreement with the camel owner saying, I will hire these camels, but I will pay you per stations that we cover, because he knew these people will not last with him. He says, the distance we cover, I will pay the fare for the camel and the camel rider up to there, and those of you who want to come, the camel riders, the camel owners, then you also are welcome, and I will treat you like the people who are with me, and I will pay for your fare. The camel owner is using his own camel, yet the Imam says, because you're coming with me, I will pay your fare for the distance that you join me. And all these people moved in with the Imam alayhi salam. In the meantime, the governor of Makkah comes to know that the Imam alayhi salam has left. He did not take any steps when he first came to know, but he then took steps. Maybe he received orders from Yazid or from the governor of Madina. However, it is not clear. He took orders, he took action, and people and the army came to try and stop them. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, of course, moved forward, took whips and whipped these fellows out. Some few whips were exchanged here and there, but they saw that the Imam alayhi salam is adamant on departure, and they left him, and the Imam alayhi salam moves on. He moves on, and the second stop he makes is at Sifa. Sifa is now where Hill starts, and that's a place that, alhamdulillah, we all know. Those who've been to Hajj know, those who've been to Umrah know, that is where the Hill starts, and that is where Sifa is. And he pauses there for a short while. A poet called Farazdak, an adherent of Imam of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, indeed, he recited that famous poetry, coined it on the spot, when Hisham was in Makkah. He could not get a place even to do tawaf, and whilst he's looking for a place and was not finding a place, his people create a mimbar, for him so that he can sit on the mimbar. As he now sitting on the mimbar near Maqam Ibrahim, he sees an invalid person coming in softly. But as he came in, people made way for him, and he made the tawaf. And after tawaf, he sat near Maqam Ibrahim to make his prayers. And he asked, who is this man? The courtiers, now you can see the people who you are dealing with, the people who lived at the time, and how apprehensive they were of the Caliph. They did not even dare tell Hisham who the person was. They did not dare praise the person. They did not dare say or give an impression that they even knew the person who got so much honor from pilgrims, which was denied to Hisham, who was the Caliph. Well, Hisham was an Umayyad Caliph. Well, then Hisham asks Farazdak, and Farazdak immediately coined this poetry that you do not know this man. Makkah knows this man, the Kaaba knows this man, Mina knows this man, the Hill and Haram knows this man, and then started setting out the praises of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. And as you can imagine, I don't need to finish the sentence, for praising Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam truthfully, the truth witnessed by Hisham himself, Farazdak was immediately detained. He was put into prison only for praising Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. That was the environment that these khulafa of that time had created. That Farazdak was entering the hill to come and do Hajj, because the Imam alayhi salam left on the 8th of Dhul Hajjah, the day of Taraweeyah, one day before Arafah. But Farazdak was entering in ihram, ready to perform his Hajj, to move straight on to Mina on the day of Taraweeyah. But he sees a person with a caravan moving the opposite direction. So he immediately inquires, who is this gentleman who looks so pious and yet isn't leaving Makkah at a time when everybody is going in for Hajj? And he was told, this is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. And when he was told that, he approaches Imam Hussein alayhi salam, kisses his hand and says, Yabna Rasulillah, this is a time to enter Makkah and you are leaving Makkah. Why are you rushing against Hajj? And the Imam alayhi salam says, there are people who have been sent to Makkah to apprehend me. And if I do not leave in good time, they will have entered before I leave. Then I will not be able to leave. I've got to leave before they enter Makkah, according to my information. And so I am leaving. But who are you? And Farazdak says, I'm an Arab. Now look at the akhlaq. I mentioned this earlier, that I did not, as I should have, as I normally do, spend one night on the excellence of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I said his excellence will be portrayed during the journey itself. Here is another example. The Imam alayhi salam receives this kind of vague answer, I'm an Arab. Well, the Imam alayhi salam could see that he was an Arab. But the moment that question was asked, the Imam alayhi salam changed the subject altogether. Did not pursue that matter at all, because it would be contrary to akhlaq for him to extract information which Farazdak was then not willing to part with. So he turns around and says, tell me about the people from where you are coming, because he was coming from Kufa, from the direction of Kufa. Tell me the position of the people from where you are coming. And Farazdak gave an answer in one line, which I perhaps took complete evening to discuss. The third evening, Saturday night, Sunday night discussion we had on the Kufians and the real position of the Kufians. What was their aim? Did they really just call Imam Hussein alayhi salam in order to betray him? The answer of their situation was given by Farazdak in one sentence. The Imam asks, what is the position of the people you have left behind? He says, Yabna Rasulillah, their hearts are with you, but their swords are pointing at you. Qulubuhum ma'ak wa suyufuhum ma'a Banu Umayyah. Their hearts are with you, but their swords are with Banu Umayyah. In another hadith they say, قُلُوبُهُمْ مَعَكْ وَسُيُوفُهُمْ عَلَيْكَ. Their hearts are with you, but their swords are pointing at you. And the Imam alayhi salam says, and then Farazdak continues to say, وَلَكِنْ أَمْرٌ لِلَّهِ وَاللَّهُ يَفْعَلُ مَا يَشَاءُ. But the last word is with Allah. Whatever their thoughts, the amr, the final command, is from Allah. And He does what He likes, not what the people like. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam, fantastic conversation that passes. And this is why I thought I should not miss discussing this answer with this conversation with you. And then Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Saddaqta, you have said so much truthfully that the last word, the amr, is from Allah. He does what He likes. And then quotes that ayah from Surah Bani Ibrahim, Kulla yawmin huwa fi sha'an. Imam Hussein alayhi salam increases. Farazdak says, O grandson of the Holy Prophet, I pray to Allah that your wishes be fulfilled, that He should guard you and protect you. And that which you wish to attain, Allah should make attainable for you and attain it for you. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam replies to that and says, yes, the final decision is with Allah glorified and exalted. And look at these words that follow. If fate gives us what we are hoping for, we will praise Allah and we will thank Allah. And we will seek His help to thank Him, because one cannot thank Him without seeking help from Allah, without Allah's help. Look at the personality you are dealing with. He's running away now from Makkah because people are out to murder him. In what state of threat he must be, how fearful, how anxious he must be. And yet, in advising other people on matters of religion and in debating matters of religion, in propounding matters of religion, he was so erudite. He immediately not only cited ayat of Quran, he showed his total faith in Allah glorified and exalted, saying, if fate gives us what we want, as Farazdak prayed, then we will thank Allah. But teaches him that, and teaches us, that to thank Allah you need help from Allah glorified and exalted. As Allah says in Quran, وَأَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. The majority of them, of the people, don't thank Allah. To thank Allah is not easy, it is a ni'mah. And that is why when we make that sajda shukr after every prayer, it's a practice we must never let go. We must never allow it to slip off our hands, because making shukr of Allah is a great humanly act. Because how ungrateful can a human being be if he does not thank Allah? And hence the hadith of the fourth Imam alayhi salam, and I will not detain you on that, only pointing it out, whenever the fourth Imam alayhi salam made sajda, he would make two sajdas. And people asked him, Yabna Rasulullah, why do you make two sajdas? We understand you heard the good news. And even when he heard good news, he would make a sajda straight away. He was, after all, Sayyidus Sajideen. He said, people said, we understand you making the first sajda. What is the second sajda for? He says the first sajda is to ask Allah to give me tawfiq and to help me to help me thank Him. And the second sajda then is in fact to help Him. That is the teaching of Imam Sajjad, but one can see he gets it from his father. His father said that to Farazdak as he was leaving Makkah. And then proceeds to say the more important part of the sentence. But if fate does not give us what we hope for, and fate acts as it acts, not favorable to us, then we will also thank Allah, because He who acts, fantastic words, He who acts with the near of truth, the near of attaining truth, and his heart is pious, Allah does not let his soul to be destroyed. What a teaching at that nick of time. Allah does not kill. And this is the point I was making a few nights back, that Allah does not kill. Allah does not, sharrum min Allah, I was saying. is not from Allah. It is man who makes the shar. He makes the evil act. He causes death. Allah receives the soul and then deals with the soul as He likes. Then where the body will be buried, at what time will he die, are all matters within control of Allah, glorified and exalted. But the killer has killed, not Allah. That is, so the shar is not from Allah, only khair is from Allah. That is a point we have already discussed. If there will be time next Tuesday night or Monday night, I will go back to that point, because I understand it's caused some confusion. I hope I have attempted to solve some of that confusion, even in these few words that I have spoken. However, the point the Imam alayhi salam was making, that if the niyyah of the person is towards truth, haqq, and he has a pure heart, he has a pious heart, taqwa is the word he uses, then Allah does not allow that soul to be destroyed. That soul is rewarded for those steps that the man takes in order to achieve what he wants to achieve. But even if he is on the right path, and he could be luckily on the right path, or he can be with persons who are on the right path, his heart has to be pious. If piety is linked with niyyah, intention to reach the truth, then Allah does not allow that soul to be destroyed. And then Farazdak asks a few questions on manasik hajj, which the Imam alayhi salam answers and depart. And the Imam alayhi salam proceeds. He proceeds to the third station, and there a number of things happen. The first thing is that the moment he parks, a messenger comes, according to one hadith with a letter, according to another hadith with Aun and Muhammad, the sons of Hazrat Abdullah bin Ja'far, the sons of Bibi Zainab alayha salam. They come and deliver a letter from Abdullah bin Ja'far. When the Imam alayhi salam left Madina, as we've already discussed, Hazrat Abdullah was sick. The husband, I repeat that because names give confusion, so I want to make sure that there is no confusion at all. Abdullah bin Ja'far, the husband of Bibi Zainab alayhi salam, was sick, so sick that he could not leave his bed either. So, according to one version, he sent Aun and Muhammad with Imam Hussein alayhi salam from Medina. According to the second version, when the Imam, he kept them with him because the Imam was going to Makkah. When he heard Imam was leaving Makkah, he sent the children out from Medina to join the Imam alayhi salam in Makkah. And this is where the children, Aun and Muhammad, met him with a letter from Hazrat Abdullah. And the letter says, Yabna Rasulillah, I have heard that you are leaving Makkah for Kufa, and I am very disturbed, because Kufa is a place that we cannot trust, and you going there raises great suspicions in my mind. May I request the salawats to welcome Maulana, who has just arrived. And so he writes a letter saying, Kufa is not a place we can trust. They can harm you. And so please do not rush. Do not rush to go there, because you are the light of this land. If they harm you, the light of the land will be extinguished altogether. You are the standard bearer of the lovers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. If you go, they will be left without an imam, without a leader, and there will be chaos. So I have already left Medina. I've sent my sons to you. I am on the way to come and meet you. In the meantime, please do not rush. Give me time to reach you. And in the meantime, he goes to the governor of Makkah and says, Hussein alayhi salam is leaving Makkah because you cannot provide sanctuary. This is a disgrace. You can see the level at which Hazrat Abdullah was, that he could go into the office of the governor and speak to the governor in that way. He was a merchant, he was a businessman, a merchant of the highest order. He was perhaps the leading merchant in Medina and famous for his business acumen and his business success. The governor entertained him, and he says, this is disgraceful that the grandson of the Holy Prophet has no protection when he is in Makkah, only because there is a threat that some people have been sent by Yazid to kill him. And the governor gets ashamed. He had already sent people to try and stop the Imam alayhi salam, as we have already discussed. He's ashamed. He writes a security for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, saying, do not leave Makkah, stay in Makkah for as long as you wish, and if you stay in Makkah, you will have full security of the city of Makkah to guard you. Well, how much could that be relied upon? But he did give that letter and sent it with not Abdullah bin Ja'far, but with his brother Yahya bin Sa'id. The name of the governor was Amr bin Sa'id. His brother Yahya bin Sa'id takes the letter with Hazrat Abdullah, and they gallop along and they catch up. They catch up with the Imam alayhi salam at Dhati Irq. At Dhati Irq, they catch up with the Imam alayhi salam, and Hazrat Abdullah alayhi salam meets the Imam alayhi salam there and mentions to him and shows him the letter. Yahya bin Sa'id produces the letter saying, this is security. Hazrat Abdullah produces the letter and says, now you've got security, don't go to Kufa. Kufians are not our friends. They might harm you, and they might harm you in a way that will affect not only our household, but it will affect the whole community. But the Imam alayhi salam says, I am obliged to go to Kufa. I cannot change that course. So Hazrat Abdullah says, in that case, then leave the ladies with me. I will look after the ladies. The words of Muhammad ibn Hanafiya before the Imam left Madina are repeated now by Hazrat Abdullah bin Ja'far independently. The Imam alayhi salam, Yahya bin Sa'id, was present, could not talk to Hazrat Abdullah openly, turns around and says, I have seen my grandfather in a dream, and I am doing exactly what he has asked me to do. And the matter ends there. Hazrat Abdullah becomes helpless, tells Aun and Muhammad, go with your uncle and be with him and fight with him. If there is need to fight, fight with him and make sure that you die before he dies. Hence, Imam Hussein alayhi salam proudly says, neither my grandfather, nor my father, nor my brother got the kind of companions that I got. The degree of their loyalty is unmatched by any other set of companions. This is the advice a father gives to his two sons and leaves. The Imam alayhi salam then writes a letter, stops Yahya, writes a letter of reply. This is the courtesy, this is the akhlaq of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. As I said, we will keep finding these pointers of his akhlaq, and we will try and discuss as many of them as possible so that we learn from it. That letter of decency, that letter of courtesy had to be replied, saying, you have written to me this letter in decency, in courtesy, and I am grateful for it, and may Allah reward you for it. You have offered me security, and I am grateful for it, but la aman illa aman Allah. There is no security except security from Allah, and I am happy to abide by His will, and it is for that reason that I am proceeding on this journey. But I thank you, and may Allah reward you for this letter, and gives this letter to Yahya. As he moves on, Sheikh Mufid does not state this, but Sayyid ibn Tawus in his Maqtal states that at that point in time, Bashar bin Ghalib comes forward to the Imam alayhi salam as the Imam was about to leave and says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, I have a question, and the caravan stops. You can see the anxiety of the Imam alayhi salam to fulfill his duties as an Imam to the last minute as he departs from Makkah. He says that ayah of Quran, يَوْمَ يُنَادِي كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ, the day on which people will be called by their Imams. What does that mean? And the Imam alayhi salam explains to him so beautifully in the context of the circumstances in which he was. He says, there are two types of Imams. There are Imams who will lead you to the right path. That is the Imam you must follow. There is the Imam who leads you to the wrong path. That is the Imam you must avoid, because on the day of judgment you will be raised with your Imam. If your Imam was the Imam on the right path, you will be on the right path on the day of judgment and go to heaven. If your Imam was on the wrong path, you will be raised with the wrong with the wrong Imam, and he will lead you to hell. And Bashar bin Ghalib says, I have understood exactly the point, and he moves on. The Imam alayhi salam moves on, and the next stop is Hajar. And then at that stop, something important happens. The Imam alayhi salam had received a letter from Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam saying that the people have made bay'ah, and please therefore come over in keeping with your original promise. I'm satisfied there with you, and hence please come over. And the Imam left. He had received that letter 17 days before the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, but had not replied to that letter because he had not yet, because circumstances changed. However, now that he was surely going to Kufa, he sent in a letter, wrote a letter saying he by then did not have the news of the martyrdom of Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam. So he wrote that letter saying to the people of Kufa, according to Sayyid ibn Ta'awuz, the letter was addressed to Sulaiman bin Surd. According to Sheikh Mufid, rahmatullah alayh, it was addressed to the people of Kufa in a broad sense, and it appears that may well have been the case. And says in that letter that I have received a letter from my cousin Muslim, and in keeping with what he says in the letter, I have set out. In other words, he has kept his promise. He said, if Muslim writes a letter, I will set out. Muslim alayhi salam had written the letter, and the Imam has set out. He says, I will soon be there, and I've set out because I've read from your letters that you are of sound judgment. You are definite in wishing me to come over there to lead you to the straight path, and people of sound judgment in your community and leaders of your community also are of exactly the same view. So be ready, I will be there in a few days. He gives that letter to Qais bin Mashar. According to another hadith, the name of the messenger was Abdullah bin Yaqtur. Qais bin Mashar is given that letter, and he gallops from there to Kufa. He goes to Kufa in order to deliver this letter to the people. By then, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad received the news that Imam alayhi salam had left Makkah for Kufa. He lined up the entire boundary of Kufa with soldiers. The entire boundary, so that nobody could enter Kufa from anywhere at all. Qais was not aware of this. And as he approached Kufa, he suddenly saw this wall of soldiers guarding every entry to Kufa. And indeed, before he could find a means of escape, the soldiers chased him, arrested him, and took him to Hussein bin Numair, who was their commander of the border. Hussein bin Numair causes Qais to be searched, and the letter is produced. When that letter is produced, Hussein bin Numair says, I will not deal with him. Send him to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. When he is sent to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad reads the letter and says, oh, so this is what the letter says. Give me the names of these people who were to receive Hussein alayhi salam. Give me the names to whom this letter is addressed. Give me the names of people who are supporting Muslim alayhi salam. Muslim had already been martyred by then. Qais did not know this, and Ubaidullah threatens him to produce the names. Qais was a man of infinite loyalty to Imam Hussein and alayhi salam and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He was not going to deliver even a single name. He says, I don't know these names. I don't know who they are. I'm told to deliver to the people of Kufa, so I will deliver to the people of Kufa. So Ubaidullah says, to whom will you deliver? He said, I'll go to the mosque. And in the mosque I will deliver that letter. I would have delivered the letter in the mosque to the people of Kufa, because the people of Kufa would be in the mosque of Kufa, and I would deliver to them. So Ubaidullah knows that this is a diehard Shia who will not reveal the names. He says, go onto that pulpit, and go onto the pulpit and curse that liar, ma'adallahi ta'ala, Hussein ibn Ali alayhim as-salam. Qais says, very well, I will go onto the pulpit. He goes on the pulpit, addresses the people, says, I had come with this letter from Hussein. So you see, not knowing that Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam is dead, he delivers the message. He cannot deliver the letter. He takes the clever step of getting onto the mimbar to deliver this message. And he delivers the message. He says, Hussein alayhi salam has written a letter to you saying that he's come. That letter has been found on me, and I've been arrested by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. And indeed, all I want to say in the end is that may salawat be on the Holy Prophet and on Hussein alayhi salam. May Allah reward you for the salawat that Qais wanted recited on that day. And may that response ever remain lingering, ever remain reverberating in the atmosphere till the day of judgment. Because Qais deserves that respect. He says, may salawat be on Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam, and may the curse of Allah be on Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and on the father of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. You can see how Shias of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam behave. Fearlessly, unfearful of death, looking forward to death in the name of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and fearless of the consequences once they know that which way truth lies, and once they have piety in their hearts, as we have just discussed. He said that, and immediately an order is made by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, as you would expect, and I need not finish it, but only for completion. He issues an order that he should be arrested, be sent to the terrace, and from the terrace his body is thrown to the ground. And Qais, the bones of Qais ibn Masar are broken, and ultimately he reaches martyrdom. But this is how the faithful in the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam reached their end. Yesterday we saw how Aun and Muhammad decided that they must fight. The Imam alayhi salam would not give them leave. Ultimately they obtained leave, and they went and fought. And they fought like valiants. They fought in a way that amazed Umar ibn Sa'd la'natullah alayh, and the people who had come to fight Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that these children of 12, 13 years of age should have fought so well, should have fought so valiantly, and should have killed so many people. Indeed, ultimately they gave their souls, called their uncle and made their wasiyah to the uncle. Imam Hussein alayhi salam at that age carried the bodies to the camp of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. When he carried those bodies, of course he could carry only one. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam was there, so he carried one body. Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam carried the second body. These bodies were brought to the tent of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was now looking for Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. He said, I have a wasiyah from these children, and what a noble wasiyah. Tell our mother that we haven't had one drop of water. We died thirsty. This was a wasiyah that Imam Hussein alayhi salam wanted to convey, and wanted to convey his condolences to Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. She was not to be seen. Fizza was sent out to look for her. Fizza comes back and says she is in sajda. She is thanking Allah that Aun and Muhammad have been martyred in the path of Allah, have been martyred on the feet of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had not even recovered from this wound in his heart, when Qasim goes forward and says, Mawla, since morning I am asking for leave. Now even Aun and Muhammad have been martyred. I must be allowed to go, and I too must be allowed to fight. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Qasim, how can I let you go and fight? You are the replica of my father. When I see you, I remember my brother. You are the replica of my brother. When I see you, I remember my brother. You are indeed a full replica of my brother Hassan alayhi salam. You are my reminder of my brother. I will not let you go. He goes back to the mother. The mother comes, Farwa comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and says, Mawla, allow my son to go. When Fatimatul Zahra alayhi salam on the day of judgment will ask me, I made my son precious over her son, what will I say? Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, Farwa, I will deal with that. I am stopping him from going. When Qasim saw this was a delicate situation, Allah helps, he suddenly dawned on him that at the last moment Imam Hassan alayhi salam had tied an amulet on his hand, saying, Qasim, when a day comes when you are surrounded with difficulties and you do not have your path forward at all and are not able to make progress, open this amulet and it will help you to make progress. He said, what day can be more difficult for me in life than the day on which my uncle is not let me go and die at his feet? He opens the amulet. It happens to be a letter of Imam Hassan alayhi salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in which he says, oh my brother Hussein, on the day of Ashura when you are in Kerbala, do not spare Qasim. Allow Qasim to go to the battlefield. Allow him to fight in the cause of Haqq and allow him to be martyred. This is my special request as I am dying. When Hussein alayhi salam read that letter, he sat down. He said, Qasim, I can't even stand. My brother comes back to me. He said, writing his words, and indeed you have now cornered me. How can I now refuse you leave? Qasim, I let you go, but you will wait here for a little while. Calls Bibi Zainab alayhi salam and gets the chest of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, takes out the shirt of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and dons it on Qasim, takes out the abba of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, dons it on Qasim. Alas, Imam Hussein even takes out the amama of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, dons it on Qasim, then looks at Qasim and says, Qasim, I do not see Qasim in front of me. I see my brother Hassan alayhi salam in front of me. Qasim goes to the battlefield. Umar ibn Saad sees him there, calls a valiant warrior Arzak-e-Shami and says to Arzak, you go and finish this child. Arzak says, this graceful Umar ibn Saad, this is a 13-year-old boy. You're sending me to fight him. Arzak was famous for fighting 1,000 people at a time. Umar ibn Saad says, what do you suggest? He says, I'll send my youngest son to go and fight him. Arzak had 4 sons. The youngest son goes. Qasim finishes him in 2 strokes. In 2 strokes, Qasim kills him. The 3rd son goes. He is likewise killed. The 2nd son goes. He is killed. The 1st son goes. He is killed by Qasim. Imam Hussein alayhi salam thanks Allah, saying, Ya Allah, this credit you have given to Ahlul Bayt of valor and of courage is a grace from you for which I thank you. This is a credential of Imam of Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam. We relate 14 centuries later. Now Arzak-e-Shami says to Umar, I will go myself and take revenge of my 4 sons. But in 4 strokes, Qasim finishes Arzak also. Now goes and fights. He takes charge of Furat. When he takes charge of Furat, Umar ibn Saad now gets worried. But Qasim went to the banks of Firat thirsty. He left the banks of thirsty. He did not even touch water. Indeed, when he comes out, Umar ibn Saad says to everybody, now surround him. Don't fight him singly, you will lose. Surround him. And when Qasim is surrounded, there were now people throwing stones at him. There were those throwing arrows at him. He still kept defending himself until he came nearer to the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But alas, he fell and a lance was thrown into him. He calls for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, enraged that Qasim is being killed, galloped so fast that all enemies now became excited. They were trying to save their lives and started running from place to place. In the process, they galloped over the body of Qasim, and the body of Qasim was divided into pieces. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes ultimately and his breath goes, Imam Hussein alayhi salam could not even carry the body because it was so much in pieces. He kept his abba on the floor, took those pieces of Qasim, put them in the abba and carried the abba to the ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون